course the truck comes down the road, just like we started again.
And the one up the road too.
So, anyway, so tell me about the first black guy working in Bethlehem Mines.
Oh, I was talking to Lefty the other day, and I asked him, I said, "You remember Carbell?" He said, "Sure I do." He said he was a good worker. He said everybody really liked him, but he was the only black man that ever worked for Bethlehem Steel.
What did Dad have to do with all of that?
I think he worked with his dad. Carbell did, and I think and Lefty worked with him too.
Yeah,
He said,
I seem to recall that the comment was that it took an act of the NAACP to get a black guy into Bethlehem Mines. So there was this lady who was the mother of one of Frank's classmates down at St. Vincent. There was one black kid in his class, and his mother was very active in politics in Johnstown. And she had something to do with Bethlehem actually hiring a black man, because they would never get hired, you know.
Yeah.
And I always, once I kind of grew up and got a better sense of how the world worked, to me it's like those black folks in Johnstown would have loved to have gotten a job, you know, these relatively good paying jobs in the mines, but no one would hire one, right? Nobody was going to hire a black man into a Cambria County mine until this lady that, again, was in politics in Johnstown made enough of a fuss that they actually had to hire this guy. And they were concerned that he would be, you know, that the other miners would not treat him well. So Dad, being a boss, you know, the bosses, I guess, were told, when this guy's on your shift, you know, make sure he doesn't, you know, he doesn't get in trouble, if you will.
Yeah.
But as it ended up, the guy was like a really good worker, and over time, people came to like him. But still, it was not easy for him to land a job in those mines.
Mhm.
Whereas many people would think that none of those guys would want to work in the mines. But it's like, well, those are pretty good paying jobs. So I bet they'd take them if they could get them. That's sort of my thinking on how it probably evolved. I really don't know.
Uh-huh. Well, Carbell lived in Evansburg.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's not like he lived in Johnstown.
Right. But the Johnstown connection to me is that this classmate of Francis' mother was in Johnstown in politics, and you know, Cambria County is not that big an area,
Yeah,
so there was some pull
they
to,
got him there.
yeah, so you know, how come you guys never hire a black guy? You know, it's like there's prejudice. You know, if you've got a qualified person, you should hire him. And I guess Bethlehem, big company, you know, they hire blacks in Pittsburgh, I'm sure, and other places. But so how come nobody ever hired one up here? So again, I'm a lot of speculation on my part on that, but I'll bet that's the case.
Yeah,
You know,
I bet.
yeah.
I remember we used to go out to Carbell's. Remember right where he lived and what his house looked like.
Hmm.
Lefty said he was a real good worker. Well, and he said, Lefty said that Joe Gator was his buddy in the mine. So I'm sure Lefty was a real good worker. You could just tell he's like Dad type.
Right. Yeah. So I know, I vaguely remember once there was a cave-in in the mine, and somebody came to the house to tell you that Dad was stuck in the mines.
Uh-huh.
There's some cave-in they couldn't get out.
Frank Morana.
Was that right? That who
Frank
came to
Morana
the
came.
house?
Yeah. Yeah, he come over to see if Dad got home yet. And then, well, it was late. It was already about like 7 o'clock at night, 8 o'clock when he came over.
And how did they get out?
I don't remember.
I seem to recall it had something to do with it was caved the way they would normally come out. So they were able to somehow walk through the area where the mine, where the air is drawn into the mine, which is like walking a couple of miles underground.
Uh-huh.
But they were able to walk out of where air is pulled through the mine or something. But it it's a long way to go or something like that. I vaguely remember that.
Yeah, I do.
I guess that was a question for Dad.
Yeah. I know he had several miners killed while he was on duty. One was Miller. I think was his first name. He was from Riverlock, a young guy. I can't remember his first name. But anyway, he was killed in the rock fall.
Hmm.
And there were several others. There was a Pacal from down around Falling Timber.
Yeah, pretty dangerous work, huh?
Yeah. I remember Dad one time was hurt. That was, I think, right after Yvonne was just a baby because I remember taking her. And Aunt Jay and Pete took me down to the hospital to see him. And Aunt Jay watched Yvonne.
I can't imagine that.
Yeah. Well, I went in. She sat on the car and watched Yvonne. But he was crushed. He was pushed up against the wall by a car, a mining
was.
car. Yeah.
Hmm.
And caught his, his ribs.
Say
So,
broken ribs or something?
they weren't broken, but they were,
Bruised.
yeah. So I remember they had him all bandaged up. But he wasn't off work very long.
Right. When he was at the farm, didn't he have a problem with his, maybe it was here, problem with his kidneys?
Yeah.
Dad? What exactly was that?
Well, at that time they called it Bright's disease.
Hmm.
And they said that's what he had. And he went to the VA hospital. Well, he came home from work one day. He had the flu really, really bad. He just walked in the house and puked all over the place, and he was shaking like a leaf. And so anyway, he went to bed. And he next day then he went up to Dr. Fee's and he gave him antibiotics and stuff. And I can't remember what it was, his blood work that wasn't right. And anyway, he ended up going to the VA hospital in Altoona.
Hmm.
And they kept him in there for a month.
Oh wow.
They used to let him come home on weekends once in a while. A couple times he was allowed to come home for the day. And
So what was it, some sort of an infection in the kidneys or something?
yeah, it's a
I thought it was esophagus.
it's glomerular nephritis, what you call it nowadays.
Hmm.
But anyway, they called it Bright's disease then. But I remember the doctor saying that he would only have 15 years to live.
Hmm.
That he would start showing debilitating symptoms in 15 years, something like that. Scared the hell out of us anyhow.
Huh.
And
You didn't know about Colarossi.
yeah, right.
He showed them.
Yeah, he showed them. So, but he was in there for a long time. And then he finally went back to work with that. From that, and then he got that vertigo.
Hmm.
He couldn't look up, and as soon as he looked up, he'd go backwards and fall.
Hmm.
So he was off work with that for every bit of 3 or 4 months.
I didn't know about that one either.
Long time he was off with that. And that's when Yvonne and Jackie decided to go up at Belugi's trailer and get drunk.
It wasn't her trailer, it was in the swing in the backyard.
Well, you was in the trailer when Dad went and got you and beat you up.
I remember. That's not something you forget.
I guess not. Poor Jackie. We called her mom and dad, and they came down. They're just laughing. They're laughing. They think it's so funny. And Dad and I are hysterical. That's how parents react.
Right.
I was the first one, you know, I had to break you in for everybody else. Everybody else got away with all kinds of crap.
Right.
Well, I didn't know what the boys were doing.
Yeah. So how did we come to have the camp?
Well, that again was Fuzz Lushart. He had been up there with his brother, I think, and he thought it was such a great place, and so he told Dad about it. And so Dad, of course, Johnny Arco was always with Dad, and so John and him went up with Fuzz Lushart, and they thought it was a pretty good place, and they decided they used to stay down at Berner's place.
Bernard's, yeah,
Yeah, Rose, I think was her
the
name.
farmhouse or whatever it was.
Yeah. So then anyway,
I think they also used to camp at Elmer's Hole too.
Yeah,
at one
right.
point. Yeah.
and that's where a lot of the guys from Revlock, like the Novaks,
Mhm.
Elmer was a Novak. And so that's
Elmer Novak, I remember that name.
where
Elmer's
they,
Hole, huh?
yeah, that's where they got started with going up the camp. So then they decided to lease, well, they wouldn't sell you the ground, they just leased you the ground. So they leased Buzz and John and Dad, they leased that property there. And I forget what they had to pay every year for that. And then they built that place, and then about that time John got married, so he wasn't available all the time. And Fuzz Lushart, I guess he kind of liked the idea in the beginning, but he was busy with his family too, and he didn't come around much. So Dad just finally took it all over.
Yeah, I remember he had a book,
He had a book in there.
writing who put what into it and all that.
Yeah.
And finally, Dad just took it over, bought him out or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, he didn't buy them up because I was mad with him about that. I thought he should have given them all their money back. But he said no, he's not giving it back. They enjoyed the camp while they were there. So why should he give it back to them?
Hmm.
Which
Didn't believe in equity.
I guess not. He wasn't going to do it anyway.
Huh.
But none of them had put very much in it up to that point.
Yeah.
It
So I
didn't
guess
cost them very much. They bought those chicken
And they
coops.
still didn't own the land, right?
They still didn't own the land. no.
Right. So essentially, there was a chicken coop or whatever where he bought the lumber to build it.
Right. So it's built with heavy boards. It's not what you use nowadays on things, you know.
Right.
So then Dad just took it over, and we were the only ones that went up there. Well, there was a few other guys from Revlock that could go up. Yeah, I guess that's not true because I think everybody in Bakerton's been up there
Oh yeah.
at one time or another. Like Bob Kaczynski used to go up all the time,
Right.
and Spitzy Shevok and Jim Shevok, all of them had been up there.
Yeah, I forget who I was. I think it was Leo Klein.
Yeah, Leo.
But also, one of Ren's roommates from college pulled together a little reunion on Zoom the other day.
Oh yeah.
And I was surprised to find out that all those, well, not all those guys, but Rob and Leo, I knew Leo had been up there, but quite a few of them had been up at camp. And I don't know, I guess I don't know where I was, but I wasn't part of that. I was off running around someplace else at the time.
Well, I
guess.
remember Ren had his bachelor party up there.
Maybe that was it.
And I remember that Moon Mulligan. Moon went to St. Vincent.
Mm.
I don't know whatever happened to Moon. I think, but I think 3 of those Mulligans died. The one was killed in a car crash, and then what was the other one's name? He won that used to do construction work. He had a nickname.
Everybody in this town is.
Everybody's got a town nickname in this town. Yeah, but so I guess he had his bachelor party up there. I guess that's how those guys would have been up there.
Yeah,
But there was,
Julik was up there.
yeah.
Lots of people. We get our beer up at well, it's Irwin's now, but Murphy works up there.
Murphy, yeah.
Denny.
Yeah, and he'll say about being at camp. Well, I remember going up to camp, and half the people you talk
Denny
to have
Murphy,
been at
like
camp.
Scott Yeckley.
Oh, Scott Yeckley for sure.
Yeah.
I remember being up there with Scott and Leo. Not Murph though. I don't remember being up there with Murph. Maybe he wasn't up there when I
And
was there.
Pat Malloy and Francis, they went up on their bikes one time.
Oh yeah, I
Remember that? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of people who've been up at that camp. Mike B, he lived there for probably 3 months when he was getting his divorce.
Oh, how about that?
Yeah, he worked in Franklin,
Mm-hmm.
so he just stayed at our place.
So, getting back to the family, so Virgil and Reno, they always lived in Spangler and Barnesville their whole lives.
Yeah,
And you say one, what did they do? Coal miners?
coal miners. Yeah,
But they also,
they were bosses. So both of them were.
and also, what you call, he said he was working on TVs.
Yeah, but Virgil just started as a hobby.
Uh-huh.
He started when TVs first came in.
Mm-hmm.
He I don't know if he did some kind of a course over the radio or whatever it was that you could do back then. And so then he started fixing TVs and radios.
Hmm.
And he was the only person around that did that
While
Yeah.
still working at the mine.
while still working at the mine. And then his next door neighbor started doing it, but he never worked anywhere else.
Hmm.
He just did TVs, and he went into it big.
Mhm.
You know, he especially selling them.
Right.
But yeah, Jack Ray was just saying the other day about when we were talking about radios and that, and he said, I remember going down to Barnesburg, down where the laundromat is now. He said, used to be a man down there. He said, fixed my radio, and that was my brother.
Uh-huh. Huh.
Yeah, so he did that until even after he retired. He had a little place down there. And that laundromat, right, you go just the corner end of the place.
Uh-huh.
Just it wasn't as big as that corner there. But
Right.
he did TVs and radios.
Jumping back to camp, you remember catching that big northern pike?
Yeah,
Northern pike, right?
Northern Pike.
Where'd you catch it?
It was down below that Burners or that place that we stayed at.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, but right. It was about 5 o'clock in the evening. We had just gone out, just went down there and
Were you over the riffle? Or below the riffle? Or above?
no, above the river.
Above. So you were just drifting down from like our camp down.
Yeah. And Dad said, let's go over there. So we went over to the end there, and I hooked onto it pretty quick, and boy, it just seemed like it was so heavy. And he said, "Oh, you got a log on," and we just
Looked like a
Boy,
lot
did you
already.
ever.
took a long time. I finally said, "No way, that's a something bigger than that. I mean, that's not a log." And it took a long time before it finally gave up
Huh.
and come up.
Huh.
That I could move it. It just stayed
Right.
on the bottom.
Right. Think about
Yeah, so we
a fish that big in that river. Man, when that thing was swimming around, it was scaring every other fish in the sea. You know, think about just how big that thing is.
yeah. So we brought it up. Oh, it was so slimy. It was so old. It looked like
Yeah.
it was so old or something.
Yeah.
We brought it up. I was afraid of it even being in the boat with us. It was so big.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we brought it up and we took some pictures and put it back in and hoped it lived.
Did it swim away or?
It swam away, yeah.
Oh, that's good.
We left it go right there at the boat dock,
At
though.
our dock, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, is anybody else around?
Yeah, Walt was there.
Oh, Walt was there?
Hmm. Yeah,
Did you
Walt
get a
was there.
chance to see it?
Uh-huh.
Oh,
Yeah.
man.
Walt was there, and then Scrooge all came out. I mean, Beverly came out, and Joe. I remember they all came out, looking down over the bank and at it. But we just took the pictures and left it go. Tried to keep it in the water. And then I caught that muskie up above. It wasn't quite that big, but it was such a pretty fish. It's green,
Mm.
and you can see its teeth.
I don't think you took a picture of that one then, right?
Yeah, we have a picture somewhere, but
Really?
uh-huh,
Oh, I don't think I've ever seen that one.
yeah. Because I had my snowmobile outfit on, because I got that on December the 8th.
Oh, when?
December the 8th.
Oh, wow. That
I
was.
don't know what year, but it was, and the German was
And you
up
still
there.
had the boat out. Yeah,
Yeah.
apparently. Yeah.
Apparently we did.
That's pretty late. Huh.
Yeah, it was
Huh.
December the 8th.
Wow.
It was cold. Oh, it was cold. We had boots on and our snowmobile outfits, and the German was up there. There's hardly anybody in the valley when I caught that one. And
You
But
just
I
let it
remember-
go?
yeah, I left it go.
Yeah.
We didn't take. Yeah, we took pictures. Yeah, but the German was there, and he had a stringer of fish, walleye,
Mm-hmm.
like that. He had a big stringer of fish. And we got a lot of fish too. Beside that, but I did get that one then.
Mm.
I was just thinking about that the other day. I sure did love fishing.
Mm-hmm.
Just Dad and I by ourselves, not anybody around. When John was around, I always left him go fishing. And 3 in a boat's too much.
Right. Yeah, we've got some nice pictures. I was just looking through the pictures on the TV there. Some really nice ones of you and Dad, sitting in the boat.
Yeah, that last. After Dad retired, then I retired. But I used to work 5 days a week then,
Mhm.
5 days a month.
Right.
A
Right.
month.
So there's plenty of
Yeah.
time.
Yeah. They should make about $500 a month working 5 days a month.
Mm.
And so I'd go up Thursday. He'd be waiting for me. Had everything all ready to go. I just pull in and we'd take off and usually stop in Brookville at that restaurant up there and have something to eat, and then we'd go to camp. And then we would come back Sunday afternoon.
Mm-hmm.
Stop in Punxsutawney at the Anchor Inn, and usually have a steak, baked potato, dinner, and then we'd come home and he'd catch up on his work, and I'd go to work and catch up on my stuff, and Thursday we did it again.
Hmm.
So we did that for pretty many years.
Yeah.
We're lucky.
I like, I always think about fishing because I really enjoyed fishing, and particularly you're out there in the morning or in the evening, and the weather's just right, and the river's nice, and you're catching some fish. And also when you think about when it's cold too, right? If it's cold out and you used to put the oatmeal cookies on the stove and heat them up, and it was nice, but the thing that made it work was Dad, because there's a lot of moving parts to going fishing.
Yeah.
You've got the boat, the gas, the equipment,
Yeah.
getting
Dad
meat.
never had a chance to fish.
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
I did all the fishing. He
Right.
he never had a chance.
Right.
He was busy taking care of me,
Yeah. But even
and
that,
he didn't like. And he didn't mind that. He wanted that.
yeah, you kind of like that. And same thing when take us fishing. Well, he did that all even when we were young. He was always in the back of the boat and the rest of us catching the fish. But it is there's a lot of moving parts to it. So it's
Oh
like,
yeah,
oh, I want to go fishing. It's like, well,
it's too much trouble.
you gotta say, okay, well, I'm gonna take a day anyway, and really be prepared to do what it takes, right?
Yeah,
The boat and the gas and the minis and
yeah,
just and then go to bed, wake up early, which is, I don't know, hard to do at camp. You're gonna get up at 6 o'clock after you've been staying up drinking beer, and then trudge down over the hill and jump in the boat and go wherever. It's an effort, right?
yeah,
And Dad used to do all of it for you. Pretty much all he did was wake you up. You had to, me anyway, because
yeah.
particularly as a kid, you have a lot more energy. But also when we were visiting, David was little or whatever. It's sort of like all we had to do was wake up and jump in the boat, and
Yeah,
he knew where to go and made it easy.
yeah,
And it's not that I couldn't do it, but even as a retired person, I have a hard time slowing down enough to do all
yeah.
that.
We used to get up at 6 o'clock in the morning or whatever and go out there and fish. And I would put stuff in the crock pot, and we wouldn't come back till 2 o'clock.
Mm.
And 1 or 2 o'clock, the fish were biting. And then you had your dinner already in the crock pot. You washed up and ate, and went to bed, and slept till 5 o'clock,
Yeah,
usually in the afternoon.
I think that's the key. Go to bed early, and maybe you can pull it off.
We always slept in the afternoon all the time, so we slept till 5 o'clock. 5 o'clock we'd get up if we felt like having a little bit more to eat or just a cookie or something. Jump in the boat, and off we'd go till 9 o'clock at night.
Evening fishing.
And then at 9 o'clock, and in between there, he had to fillet those fish,
Right.
you know.
Put them
But
in a
do
milk
that,
jug.
yep, do day after day. Well, I know that one time we had 40 pound of fish in the wintertime.
Hmm.
You know, when we quit fishing for that year, we got in 40 pound of fish. It was good fish. We all
Yeah.
liked it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember one time Sunday afternoon, Mary was with us right after Charlie had died, and we ended up way up above us. Beautiful Sunday afternoon, and the sun was shining on the river that you could look down and see everything down there. And Mary hooked onto this big walleye, and the dang thing was just taking her all around and all around. That rod was bending clean over. I thought it was going to break, and I said to her, give me the rod, you're going to break it. She said, no way. That damn rod. But she didn't break it, but the walleye got off.
I did it.
She didn't get it. She
Oh.
didn't get it.
Oh.
But she wasn't going to give me that rod either.
Yeah, I guess you had horsing it too much. Had to let it fight itself out. Yeah, I cut that 25 incher at one time. 24, 25 inches, something like that. That's a lot of fun. Cut that one up right above Elmer's hole where it was real smooth. By the time we got in the boat, we were into the rapids, but we got it. Oh, it was fun.
Yeah.
Oh.
I remember we went down to, I don't know if we were in Georgia or if we were in Florida, because Nancy was in Florida. And we went down to see her. And Ben went with us. But anyway, we were out there fishing on this big, long pier.
Mm-hmm.
And there was nobody catching anything. They were all just, and every time I threw in there, I'd be dragging this big fish out, and Red had to get off this pier and go down to the water, like,
Right.
you know, and I heard this one lady say, "Somebody's catching fish, and look at that woman, she's dragging them all in." And then we got one of those, what the heck do you call them, stingrays or something?
Oh, yeah.
Got on our
Yeah.
line, got on my line, a great big one. But anyway, Ren had to go down and cut that thing off too.
What are you catching? Spanish mackerel?
And I can't remember what it was. I know we were, I think, were we fishing for, but we weren't getting that. We were getting
Right, something else.
something else.
Yeah.